Welcome, everyone, to another edition of The Travel Show with your host, Ted Blank of Ted Blank Luxury Travel and Adventure. So excited. We always talk about such interesting topics. And this one really has piqued my interest because you gave me a little snippet. Ted Blank, great to see you. How have you been?
Good to be here. I've been doing really well.
Did anyone ever just call you Ted?
Well, my parents do. Yeah. Some of my friends or my parents' friends from when I was a kid will call me Theo.
Oh.
But I haven't been called Theo in a really long
Theo's
time.
kind of fancy. Theodore,
yes,
then?
my real name is Theodore.
Okay,
yes.
Excellent. Ted. Ted. Yeah, Ted is just a great name. Anyway, great to see you. So things are good in your world?
They are. I'm enjoying this this real summer that we're having now with the hot weather and everything. I mean, it's summer, so we should have some nice hot weather, don't you think?
We should. And it's the humidity, I think, is what really is making it extra special.
Well,
these
yeah,
last
it's not
couple
too
days.
bad. But, they always say it's not the heat, it's the humidity.
And that is
right?
a true statement, I think.
It is.
So is this kind of the weather that you would have, like in India or something? Or do you
in
know?
India on a cold day.
Okay.
Actually, when I was in Vietnam and Cambodia.
Remember that? But you were there in the winter.
I was there in January. So it would be the winter, as far as they have a winter.
Yeah.
And this is about what the temperature was like.
In the winter.
In the winter.
Can you imagine what it must be like?
Very hot. Very
sultry.
hot.
Yeah.
So this is actually relatively pleasant. It could sure be a lot hotter.
For sure. Ted, that must be something, though, that you probably have to flesh out when you meet with your clients, is that there are some people that really, that could wreck a vacation for them
completely.
If they went to a place where, even if it had great beauty, it just was too oppressive.
Too hot.
On the flip side, or
too cold. Too cold, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have folks who absolutely love the summer heat and they want to travel to a place like the Mediterranean in the middle of the summer. And this would be a cool day in Italy in the summer. And so it's important to have that conversation with people so they kind of know what they're getting into and don't pick the wrong time to go someplace that the climate is going to be unpleasant for them. And
then maybe even on the flip side, people don't understand or remember about the equator and how that all works.
Yeah, it's true. The summer in Antarctica is in our winter. So December, January, February, March, that's the time when people go there because it's beautiful. It's as nice as it gets down there. Mm-hmm. In July, it's really cold.
Yeah, that's just crazy. Well, This is why you work with a professional.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, Mr. Professional, where are we going to go this week in my mind?
Speaking of heat, I thought we would talk about an opportunity to, again, escape the winter cold.
Yes.
And I am a big fan of getting out of here in January.
Yes.
I think that's really the best time
for sure
to go because it's going to probably be the coldest here. The days are the shortest. Holidays are behind us. And hey, you know what? You can leave your Christmas tree up. And if you're out of town for a month, who's going to notice?
Who's going to notice?
Exactly.
Just don't turn it on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just turn or do. But
yes.
Yeah, get out of town after the holidays. So this is a cruise in January. And it's a 16-day cruise through the Panama Canal.
Oh, wow.
And so, you'll start in Miami, Florida. This particular cruise starts on January 8th. And on January 24th, you'll wrap up in Los Angeles.
Oh, my goodness.
So you'll have a chance to kind of explore the warmth of the Caribbean in the winter. And then you'll also come up the Pacific coast, which has got a beautiful climate as well. See some interesting places on the way. And pretty much you're going to skip the worst of winter.
And you have the ultimate luxury of going through the Panama Canal.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is a bucket list for a lot of people.
It is a bucket list for a lot of people. And I think because it's such an interesting engineering feat, it wasn't easy to build. It took a long time and a lot of false starts to actually get it built.
Are you the one that did the
I did.
report
I did do
on
a book report on the
let's
Panama Canal. Good memory.
Let's tell us about that again.
Well, the French actually tried to build the Panama Canal first.
Oh, I didn't know
And
this.
they were defeated by all the bugs in the jungles of Panama.
They were?
They were.
Okay.
And the Americans came along years later, and we were able to come up with cures, and I believe it was malaria was the problem there. And so we were able to come up with a cure for malaria and prevention, which is to actually drink tonic water. Quinine prevents malaria. And so once we figured that out, they were able to actually build in the Panama Canal year-round. And it was still quite an undertaking because it was not a simple 2-mile-long canal. It's about 60 miles long. Several different lock systems, very elaborate water systems. And so it took quite a long time to be built. And eventually it opened. and it revolutionized world trade. And so it's interesting from a historical perspective. It's interesting to see the engineering feats that go into it, but I think it's also just a beautiful place. You've got beautiful tropical foliage, you've got tropical birds and fish and all sorts of interesting things in the canal that you can see.
So where does it cut through?
So it cuts through the country of Panama.
Okay.
And you start in the Atlantic Ocean, kind of first thing in the morning, about 7 o'clock, and you'll go up a series of locks, just kind of like the lock we have here in
Sure.
Hastings. Then you sail through a really large lake, and then that evening you come down several locks, several steps worth of locks, and then you'll be in the Pacific Ocean.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's about 60 miles long. It takes most of the day to transit. They'll bring on board a historian who will talk about the construction of the canal and the engineering and all the stuff that went into building it. So it's a very interesting day, but it's also a day that you can just sit outside and relax and enjoy some incredible views.
I bet. And just watching that whole, as you mentioned, the whole system do its
work.
I mean,
Yeah.
that is just crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it would be a very, very cool thing to do. I've never been through the Panama Canal, so it's on my bucket list.
So help me understand, what would have happened if they would have just opened that up? That would have flooded?
It wouldn't work. They're different,
understand
different heights, and so it would be like a waterfall, like a giant waterfall.
Okay. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, so the water would have just flown from one ocean to the other, but you couldn't take ships.
So
through it.
interesting
Yeah.
to think you go from
Yeah, like
one
the Suez
ocean.
Canal is a flat canal, so it's just a ditch that was dug. But just like here in the Mississippi, there are different elevations that you have to surmount, and so it's actually kind of like very similar principle to the Lock and Dam here.
But on a much grander
On a much bigger scale.
Wow.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
exactly what is this cruise?
Yeah, so this is a 16-day cruise, and it's on a ship called the Vista. The Vista is owned by a company called Oceana Cruises, and I don't think I've talked too much
No,
about
you
Oceana
haven't.
Cruises. Yeah, they are a really nice premium cruise line.
Okay.
And so that means they're, one of the better cruise lines out there. They have kind of two claims to fame. One is small and medium-sized ships. So the ship only carries 1,200 guests compared to 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 in some of the larger cruise ships. So it's a very nice sized ship. And their other claim to fame is their food. And so when Oceana Cruises was founded, they teamed up with a guy who maybe our listeners have heard of. His name is Jacques Pepin, and Jacques is a very famous chef. And so it just so happened that he was looking for a gig, and the cruise line hired him to be their executive chef. And magic happened. And ever since then, they've really, really developed a pretty incredible reputation for great food.
Is he still with us?
He's still with us.
Okay.
Yep, he's still with us. He's quite elderly now. And so he is actually retiring, and he's going to be replaced by someone else that we've probably heard of named Giada De Laurentiis.
Oh my-
who is
are you
famous.
kidding
yeah,
me?
So she is the new culinary ambassador for Oceana Cruises from the Food Network. I'm sure people have heard
Yes.
of her. And so they not only offer you kind of the regular dining that's available on a cruise ship, the main dining room, the buffet, but the ship has several specialty restaurants that are all included in the price. So they have an Italian restaurant, they have a steakhouse, they actually have a really cool sort of farm-to-table restaurant where they have different menus that rotate throughout the course of the cruise. They have a wonderful Asian restaurant, and then they also have an al fresco dining option. And so those are all included in the price of the cruise. And so there are some cruise lines out there where they would charge you extra for those dining experiences, but on Oceana, they're included. The cruise also includes a pretty generous credit that you can use to purchase shore excursions. So the things that you're going to be doing when you're in port. And if folks book this cruise through me, and we'll tell them how they can do that, we'll offer complimentary gratuities for them as well. So we'll take care
That's
of
a
the
big deal.
tips for the ship staff for them. So that's about a $350 per person value.
Wow.
So this is a great cruise. We'll talk a little bit about the itinerary, but it's a 16-day cruise. It'll probably run about $7,000
Okay.
a person for 16 days. So, in the premium space of cruising, really good value. Lots of great staterooms with balconies are still available, even though we're getting up to be kind of close to January of 2025.
No
already.
kidding. Well, don't even tell us that it's coming so fast, but wouldn't it be nice to look forward to something like this?
It would. And when that first snow comes, you can just say, I'm going to be out of here all January and I'm going to miss it.
It's pretty much what you are going to be. That's
Yeah.
fabulous. So we fly to Miami.
Yep, we fly to Miami, and the cruise will start in Miami.
And that's easy to get to.
Easy to get to, tons of nonstop flights every day. You might enjoy going down a few days beforehand, and we work with some great hotels in Miami so we can put together a package for you before the cruise. And then you head south into the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
And the first port you're going to visit is actually one of my very favorite Caribbean ports. It's Grand Cayman Island. And Grand Cayman, I think, has probably some of the most beautiful beaches in the Caribbean. You think of those big, wide, white, sandy beaches,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what Grand Cayman has. Great snorkeling, but if you're not a snorkeler, they also have a wonderful aquarium.
So we'll have time to do all this?
Yeah, the ship's in port for the whole day. So you'll have a chance to go and explore the destination. If you don't want to snorkel, there's a great aquarium where you can see the fish without getting wet, which is kind of a cool thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Then south to Colombia, into a city called Cartagena.
Okay.
And Cartagena was one of the most important Spanish colonial cities in South America, back when South America was part of the Spanish Empire. So there are a whole variety of castles and fortresses you can visit in the old historic center of town. But one of the neat things that Oceania does is that they always have a lot of culinary-themed excursions as well. So in each port, you'll have an opportunity to go off and taste and smell and discover the local cuisine. So if you are curious about Colombian cuisine or don't know anything about it and want to learn a little bit, they have some great options in Cartagena.
I am curious about it. I don't know much about it.
I don't either. And so this is a great opportunity to kind of expose your palate to some different tastes that you might not be used to.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So then, centerpiece of the cruise, full day trip through the Panama Canal, and then the ship is going to turn northward. And the first port it's going to stop at in the Pacific Ocean is in Costa Rica, which is, of course, a beautiful, beautiful country full of jungles and volcanoes. The port is called Punta Arenas, and it is kind of in the jungle section of Costa Rica, where you can go see all the mangrove swamps, you can see jaguars, you can see sloths, from fast to slow, macaws, all sorts of beautiful birds, and really enjoy the natural beauty
of... A true jungle.
Yeah, a true jungle. There are some volcanoes nearby that you can go visit. So a really cool opportunity to visit a country.
Such a variety of stops.
Yeah, it's a real nice itinerary, I think, really nicely put together.
Wow, and then where do we head?
Yeah, so then we're going to head a little bit north to actually Nicaragua.
We say Nicaragua.
Nicaragua, to the city of León, which is another very beautiful, historic Spanish colonial city. So you can go tour the city. You can also do the culinary tours there, learn a little bit more about Nicaraguan cuisine. And they also have a kind of a neat trip where you can go up into the forest and up into the countryside to a volcano. And alongside the volcano, they have those bubbling pots of mud like they have in Yellowstone Park.
Oh, yes.
The thermal heated mud.
Yes.
And so you can see kind of a mini Yellowstone Park by some of the volcanoes in Nicaragua. So neat thing you can do that you won't be able to do anywhere else.
Know.
I thought that was kind of a neat thing. And then in the next port will be in Guatemala. And in Guatemala, you can again visit a very historic colonial city called Antigua. Mm-hmm. They will have those culinary tours, walking tours, folklore performances, or if you're really adventurous, you can actually hop on a plane and fly to the Mayan ruins in Tikal and see those where the huge, huge temples are that if you look up a picture on the internet, you'd for sure recognize Tikal. It's the biggest Mayan site in the world, just an incredible, incredible place. And so you can do that as a shore excursion as well.
So are you at sea a day in between? Or
yeah, they have a couple of days at
primarily?
sea sprinkled
Okay.
in here. So it's actually 10
Okay.
ports and 6 days at sea. So
Okay.
nice rhythm. You do a little bit
Right.
on shore,
For
have kind of a
sure.
relaxing day at sea. The ship has a culinary kitchen space where they do culinary classes.
Nice.
So the chefs teach you things and you can actually try things and make them and taste them. And so, that foodie element definitely weaves its way through the entire cruise.
So is that kind of what this is known for, is the food?
Yeah, I would say
part?
it's the
Okay.
two things that Oceania is well known for are the food and then those nice mid-sized
Excursions.
ships,
Oh,
the beautiful
the
mid-sized
ships.
ships. Yep.
Well, this really sounds awesome. So this is a 16-day cruise, and we end up in Los Angeles.
End up in Los Angeles, and before that, we'll stop in 2 ports in Mexico.
Oh, tell me.
Acapulco and Cabo San Lucas. One of the cool excursions that they have in Acapulco is you can go see the famous cliff divers there.
Very
and these
famous.
are guys who jump off the cliff, and I don't know why they do it. But the other one that I thought was really neat is that there was a rich American named J. Paul Getty. And J. Paul Getty built a beach house in Acapulco back in the day, and now it's a resort. And you can actually go there and you can spend a day on the beach at J. Paul Getty's old beach house, which sounds like kind of a cool thing.
Did the Oceana Cruise buy that?
No, it's a hotel now. So it's a hotel, but their guests are, offered the opportunity to go there. Yeah, and just, relax on the beach, have a nice, beautiful gourmet lunch, and just enjoy a day in the sunshine. And then the ship will stop in Cabo San Lucas. In Mexico, beautiful city, and great place to go whale watching. And then the last port of call is a little town called Ensenada, which is right almost on the border with San Diego. And Ensenada is famous for its wine, actually. What? It is in a wine-growing region of Mexico. And so they have tours that will take you out into the countryside to visit some of the wineries that are there. And they have an excursion that I think is perfect for you.
Do tell.
It is called the Taco Trail.
Oh,
they didn't have a nacho trail, but the taco trail.
I love it.
And so you actually get to go into town, and you start out at a food truck, and you get to kind of munch your way through town, trying all sorts of different authentic Mexican tacos.
Love this.
What a perfect way just to kind of end your cruise.
Is there a cruise that's all you do?
the taco cruise. But yeah, I thought the taco trail was a really cool idea.
What a perfect way to end.
Yeah, perfect way to end the cruise. And it gives you an idea of, it doesn't have to be really gourmet, elevated cuisine to be interesting.
Right.
And so I think if you, enjoy watching the Food Network, or you enjoy trying to cook enjoy that kind of stuff, this is a great cruise for you. And even if you just enjoy eating good food, great opportunity, because I think it's a really nice itinerary.
Ted, this really is a cool cruise. How did you hear about this one?
Well, what I do, believe it or not, is I spend a lot of time looking through brochures. And so as I do that, I'm always kind of on the prowl for itineraries that I think are just a little bit different.
You found one.
And a little different than the standard. And so this is one that I thought was really nice. And all those culinary experiences, I think, could make this a really incredible vacation. Great opportunity to celebrate a special occasion if you have an anniversary or a retirement. Enjoy being really, really pampered and enjoy that good food as you escape from the Minnesota winter.
And you have that bonus of going through the Panama Canal.
Panama Canal. Yeah.
That's incredible.
I know. Too many things to mention in one 20-minute radio show.
I agree. Ted, this really is cool. So what is this cruise called?
So it's just a 16-day Panama Canal cruise.
Okay.
On the Vista is the name of the ship. And if folks want to learn more about it, you'll put a link on Facebook that they can click on that'll have details, or they can give me a call at 651-964-8245, or go to my website, tedblanktravel.com, and happy to give you a call back, happy to send you a brochure, and we can also make sure you get those complimentary gratuities for the staff added on for you as well.
That is a key bonus.
Yeah, it's a great bonus.
Yeah, that's awesome. Ted, another great trip. Thank you.
I think it would be.
Oh, my goodness. So great to see you.